We will now go to item 10 and welcome up Petra Burns. Hi, Petra, Policy Planner in Plans and Places, along with Warren. This is end of process. We've gone through notifications and submissions and hearings and all of that good stuff. It's been thoroughly examined, and our task today is to approve the amendments and ask the staff to take the final and necessary steps to make it operative. Now, I don't think we need a presentation on this. Councillor Sayers, you're with us again. Can I invite you to move this?
Yes, I'm quite happy to move that. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a second, please? Councillor Fletcher will second. Petra, do you want to give us a brief overview, or we take it as read?
Take it as read, I don't mind. It's up to you.
I think we do take it as read. We recognise that it's been well socialised with our communities. But Petra, thanks for your work on this. It's a little unseen, and that's because you've been so thorough at it. So thank you. Councillor Sayers, is there any? Sorry, I will invite. Is there any comment from you, Councillor Sayers?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. No, just to reinforce your thanks to the staff and the work they've put into it and the engagement that they've made with the community and other stakeholders. So very much appreciated, and I wish to thank them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sayers. I'll put that to the vote then. It's moved by Councillor Sayers and seconded by Councillor Fletcher, and we're voting on motions A and B to approve and finalise the ultimate steps to make it operative. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Declare that carried. Thank you, Petra. Takes us to item 11, and this has been a long process as well, members, I think almost 5 years. And I do note the Deputy Mayor's declaration of interest on this, so thank you. And this is to make the rural subdivision provisions finally operative. And I think this is a really good outcome for the council. It's generally consistent with our original position. So Councillor Sayers, you're the only councillor from a very big rural ward. Would you like to move?
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Second, Councillor Filipina. Now, Ryan, do you want to take us through this, or we take it as?
Yeah, I can take it through in 30 seconds if you like. As you mentioned, this is just a procedural step today. The provisions for rural subdivision have been in the Environment Court and the High Court since 2016. So when the Unitary Plan first came out, they were appealed after that. And so we've been going back and forth. But we finally now have a final decision from the Environment Court. And that decision largely does align with what the council's focus was, which was to lessen subdivision opportunities in the rural area as opposed to the appellants who are seeking more widespread rural lifestyle subdivision. So as I said, we've got a final decision now, and basically this is just a formality that the Planning Committee can make the provisions operative in the Unitary Plan.
Thank you. There are no questions? There's no comments?
A comment.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Sayers.
Yeah, thank you. Just want to make sure that that the team feel that we've got this right this time. Have we nailed this down completely? In other words, is there any potential further litigation risk for us?
No, so the appeals period is finished, and there have been no appeals. So these provisions are beyond any appeals now. So we don't think there's any more litigation risk. Obviously, there are some parts of the rural subdivision chapter that we might want to go back and change in the future, and as soon as we do that, that's going to open it up again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sayers. I will put that motion then. All those in favour say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. Declare that carried. Now we go to item 12. I'll move the recommendations as you see before us here. The A to C, and welcome Tony Reedy, Phil Reid and Tallulah Young from Plans and Places. And again, this is end of process on 2 plan changes, 29 notable trees. You'll recall that was on the errors that were identified through that process, and plan change 36 open space. Am I with you to begin with, Phil, or is it Tony, or is it Tallulah?
I'll give a quick overview, and then if there are technical questions on the notable tree plan change, then Tallulah can assist, and if there are technical questions in relation to the open space plan change, then Tony can assist. So as per the previous items, this is an end of process decision, so we've reached the conclusion of the notification, the hearings, resolution of any opportunities for appeals. That period is closed. So these are also beyond challenge, but just a little bit of a refresh about these plan changes. So the notable tree plan change was one which corrected errors within our existing schedule, which could have come from the fact that a resource consent might have been approved for the tree to be removed, but it still stays on the schedule. Or it could have been emergency works for the tree to be removed, but it's still on the schedule. Or whether there's been something like a subdivision, which has occurred where that causes the address that we've got on the schedule to now be incorrect. So we need to fix that up. So there were 115 line items in the notable tree schedule that were affected by the need to have them removed from the schedule because the tree no longer exists for one of those reasons. And then in relation to the open space plan change, we had 9 examples of where there were Panuku disposals, where we went through and ascribed the correct zone to recognise the new use for that land. And then in relation to land which had been vested through subdivisions, etc., we had 184 examples of that where we ascribed the correct open space zone to land that was generally zoned residential in the past. So, as I said, I've got Tony and Tallulah here for any more detailed questions.
Are there any questions, members? I just want to remind you the Chief of Strategy sent an email to us all last night about another sort of related item. Chief of Strategy, did you want to address that at this stage?
Oh, look, in terms of the Mount Eden tree, I think I've given you an update there. I guess all I wanted to do with this one is, this is a plan change around errors on the notable tree schedule. And so some of you might be saying, well, hello, why don't we deal with that? I think so really what I want to say is that this process had to go through the full public process like I've been advising you, even though some of these were street number changes, with subdivisions and things like that, they did need to go through a public process. So we were looking very much quickly at that. We didn't have the opportunity to look more deeply about whether there were any trees that had not been rolled over, etc. So I want to acknowledge that it might seem confusing, but it is a full public process, which is why we're dealing with this Mount Eden tree differently. I'm happy to leave it there, but happy for questions.
Thank you. Are there questions on these 2 proposed plan changes? Any questions regarding 29 or 36? Councillor Fletcher.
I have a level of impatience for those that just focus on the comms around issues. But I think that this is one situation where I would like to feel that we can clearly communicate to the public who have had an interest on tree protection what it is that we've done. I mean, you've most succinctly, Megan, given us a quick overview, but I would suggest that the perception might be out there one of confusion still. Is this something that we could get some more material out on to try and lessen because I don't know about you, but I'm getting still a lot of correspondence and calls on issues relating to trees, and I'd just really like to have clarity in around this plan change. So I'll just leave that suggestion there. And yeah, thanks.
Let's take that on board, that advice of yours, Councillor Fletcher, and I agree with you. It does look confusing. You're signing off something that captured all the errors, except why didn't you capture this one? And it is complex. Thank you. So we'll take that on board with the team. And are there other questions on this, members? 26 and 29 and 36 end of process. And do I have a second, please? Councillor Mulholland, thank you. No further questions. Is there comment? Councillor Cooper.
Bit of lightheartedness, noticing two of the submitters, Mr Green and Ms Tree.
You're reading far too deeply. Thank you. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Declare that one carried.